Hello everyone. If you love touching animal stories and want to follow the inspiring journey of these adorable friends, don't forget to hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss any of our videos. Now, let's dive into today's emotional story. Some say dogs forget, that they move on when we're gone. But there are some who wait, who remember, who never stop searching. This is the story of Abu. Not a hero in armor, not a legend written in books. Just an old dog with a heart that never gave up. For 3 years, Abu wandered the streets of a quiet town, not to survive, but to find the person he loved most in this world. And in doing so, he showed us something we all too often forget. That loyalty, love, and memory live far beyond words. To find the person he once loved, the old dog named Abu walked around the town countless times, day after day. This routine had continued for 3 long years. One day, when the homeowner brought out a portrait of his late mother, the dog stopped in his tracks. Slowly, Abu approached the photo and sniffed it gently, as if searching for the familiar scent of the woman he had lost. When he realized there was no breath, no warmth, Abu lowered his head in quiet sorrow. Abu had lived with the elderly woman for 15 years. Every single day, she would take the dog out for walks. Together, their footsteps had wandered through every corner of the town. But fate was cruel. 3 years ago, the woman passed away from illness. At the funeral, Abu was uncharacteristically quiet. The dog crouched in a corner, silently watching the entire ceremony. A man who attended the funeral later said, "It looked like Abu's eyes were crying. It was as if the dog understood the finality of her departure." From that day forward, Abu stopped playing. The dog no longer smiled, barked happily, or showed excitement. He wandered the streets like a homeless stray, aimless and broken. Overwhelmed with longing, Abu's eyes were constantly filled with tears. Eventually, tear stains became permanently marked on both sides of his face. Since the woman's passing, Abu's health declined steadily. His tears became more visible, and his spirit grew weaker. Yet, despite everything, the old dog walked around the small town every single day, rain or shine, searching for the person he missed most. The local townspeople recalled seeing the woman and Abu walking together daily. Now, only the dog's lonely silhouette remained. No one truly understood why Abu kept walking in circles through the streets. His body had grown weak. His steps were unstable. He would collapse after walking only a short distance. Neighbors remembered how the old woman used to keep Abu clean, bathing him regularly. Now, the old dog, frail and nearing the end of his life, seemed like a soulless figure. With no one to care for him, Abu was just a shadow of who he used to be. Day after day, the dog wandered through memories of the past. One kind-hearted young man, seeing Abu in his sorrow, bought him a box of meat. But grief had long filled Abu's heart. The food he once loved now held no interest. He sniffed it but did not eat. At first, people believed Abu had no home. But an older neighbor said otherwise. Abu did have a place to go. Following the direction the man pointed, the young man saw Abu enter a yard. Curious, he followed and saw the dog quietly drinking water on the side of the house. Upon closer observation, it was clear this was Abu's home. The young man knocked on the door, but no one answered. A moment later, the dog walked back outside. Every time Abu left the house, it was with the same silent hope, to see the woman he missed so dearly. Later that evening, the homeowner returned. The young man approached him and asked about the dog. The man explained, "Abu was raised by my mother since he was a puppy. They were inseparable. She took him on walks every day, talked to him, even brought him to visit her friends. After she passed, Abu lost all joy. He started walking the same routes they once walked together, as if thinking, if he keeps going, maybe one day, he'll find her again." That same evening, Abu dragged his tired body back home. The man's wife had prepared some warm chicken soup, but the dog only sniffed it and turned away. He had no appetite. The family grew concerned for the dog's condition. Later that day, the rain came pouring down. And yet, just like always, Abu tried to go outside. The woman, seeing how weak and old the dog had become, couldn't bear it. She brought him back inside and dried his soaked fur with a towel. They thought that perhaps now the dog would stay indoors and rest. But to their surprise, Abu stubbornly walked back to the gate. Finding it closed, the dog pressed his frail body against the metal, trying to push it open. Nothing, not rain, not old age, not pain, could stop Abu from continuing his search. The man had no choice but to carry the trembling dog back inside. Abu curled up in the corner, resting his head against the wall, his face full of silent disappointment. The next day, the man invited a veterinarian to check on the dog. After a thorough examination, the vet gave his diagnosis. Abu had severe cataracts. His internal organs were also deteriorating. Recovery was unlikely. The vet gently explained that Abu didn't have much time left. He added, "If you keep him confined, it may worsen his depression. Let him be free. Let him walk." It was as though Abu understood every word. Once again, the dog prepared to go outside in search of his beloved owner. His lonely figure limped slowly down the path they once walked together. Abu eventually reached a small grocery shop. The owner there said, "The old woman used to bring him here often, chatting with her friends. Now he still comes, looking around, hoping to see her." But when he found nothing, the dog turned and left. Later, Abu visited a quiet resting place, a bench under a tree where he and the woman once sat together. Then he wandered to a nearby temple. Inside, the dog slowly circled the space again and again, searching for the warmth he had lost. Again and again, Abu revisited every place tied to her memory. Day and night, in sunshine and rain, the old dog never seemed to tire. But no matter how many steps he took, how many corners he turned, the woman he loved was nowhere to be found. As the days passed, people in town began to recognize Abu's dedication. Some began leaving food and water on their porches. Others would gently pat his head as he passed. Abu never stopped to linger. His eyes always searched the distance. One chilly morning, the young man who had once followed Abu saw him lying near a park bench. His eyes closed but his body still breathing. Gently, he picked the old dog up and took him home, wrapping him in warm blankets. Abu opened his eyes for a moment and looked toward the door, still expecting, still waiting. That night, Abu didn't try to leave. He simply lay by the door, silent and still, as if he had walked every road, searched every corner, and now he was simply waiting for the moment he'd be reunited. Not here, but somewhere beyond. A few days later, Abu passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by people who had come to love him. He never found her again in this world, but in the hearts of those who witnessed his devotion, his journey, and his love, Abu had already become a legend. They buried him under the big tree near the bench where he and the old woman used to rest. A small plaque reads, "Abu, the dog who never stopped loving." And every spring, when the cherry blossoms bloom and petals drift across the path, some say they see a dog-shaped shadow walking slowly beside a gentle woman in white. Abu never barked for attention. He never asked for sympathy. He simply walked, day after day in silence, searching, hoping, remembering. He didn't find her again in this world. But in every step he took, in every soul he touched, he reminded us what it means to love, fully, purely, and without end. Now Abu rests beneath the tree they once sat under. And every spring, when the blossoms fall, some say you can still see him, walking beside her just like before, because love like Abu's never really dies.